It's very complete in terms of information. James is a 5-1, so the first line work is there, but to me, what has been the most valuable is certain information that I haven't been able to find anywhere else, like things such as the psychology of the lines, how that then affects your body, like how triggers might happen for you, or how you can even overcome those. So that was to me the thing that had the biggest impact, which I already kind of had an idea of because I had a not self reading. Um, and being able to say things, even just from the first reading I had, my personal not self reading, where I was told things in a way that really spoke to me and that felt really true. And through kind of not replicating things that I got from that reading, but also from the training and the way I would deliver them when I would speak to someone, I could tell that it hit them right away and that it resonated with them. So just finding a way to weave things together that is direct, which is important. I'm a direct person, but which just does resonate with the person right away and just eliminates any kind of just, I guess, confusion, which I think is can be a problem with this space. Just from also our own understanding of what a word might mean to us, but also other ways of interpreting the system. So I would say I love James as a teacher, but because I've always said that when I had my first reading, I seeked him out because I had consumed his content and I was like, there's parts of his chart I resonate with. So I'm guilt motivation. So I wanted to work with someone that was also in that trajectory, someone that understood what it meant to be emotionally defined, who also had a defined ego. So there was parts of our chart that I found commonalities in. And I just like how direct you are. Even when I got my not self-reading, I went into it, which is the same kind of attitude I took when I went into the analyst training of I'm not going to be offended by anything that I see or hear. I'm always willing to hear everyone out, every side of the story when it comes to the chart, because a lot of the times it can be hard in the beginning to resonate with our chart because there's so much conditioning and there's things that we might not be ready to look at. And hey, like you can look at something and then evaluate, you know what, this is the truth I'm going to take from it. It's not entirely this, thing I've been told, but that's what I wanted from someone. I think is just I also have the gate of shock. So I always say that I'm hardly shocked or offended. So I'm like, okay, give it to me straight. I just need to make this work. So I just really enjoyed the the directness in a way that actually provided solutions for, things I was going through, or just the way that you teach us to like weave together a chart, which to me is amazing. What differentiates this training is you've both been involved with IHDS and kind of just experienced their approach and see, and also the other ways of teaching human design, and what needs updating and what's just fluff. So I think it's a good way of combining the information where it still is practical, but it still allows for the bit of nuance that maybe the initial more traditional way of human design didn't allow for. I would say my favorite part about the course was all the information we got on the first trimester on the psychology of the lines. That's such a big one for me, and I've just spoken about it to so many people where it's really resonated with them, whether it's at the profile level, or when we learn about how it might trigger your body through different other placements. But that alongside the motivation and the view has been really insightful because it's a lot of information. And most recently this year, you included each the description for each profile according to each type, which I thought was super in depth, and I found again things that I thought I already knew, but it was even more specific, and the with the differentiation of the profiles, which I think it's really hard to find, especially when you're trying to read for reflectors. That was super helpful to have a description of their profile just without the noise of generator projector, where you really like sometimes don't even find something that you can hold on to when you look at a reflector chart, and what's like the clean interpretation of that profile without the rest. So that was, yeah, that was my favorite part. I would say yes, I feel more confident. We must not forget that I'm a first line, so that's big coming from me. And it's taken time, but it's been through the thing I mentioned of being able to see people's reactions when I frame the information in this specific way. That has then given me the confidence of like, okay, I'm right on track here, because how would I know this about this person without them telling me? I think rather than like fearing the information that you might come across, I think the desire to feel better is usually stronger when it's like going into it thinking this might be a hard thing to look at, but I'm going to feel better if I confront whatever comes up. Like I don't need to be scared of what comes up. It's that whatever that thing is going to be to my benefit. If you're finding yourself in a place that your life might not be working out, or you might be having specific challenges that you cannot seem to get through, that's the moment that you can be open to be like, I'm just gonna hear what comes up here. So that's how I also tackled it. Yeah. Because my life was just not working. Even though I had discovered human design a year ago, and I was, listening to Ross lectures, but there was things that just I that hadn't hit me deep enough to want to change them, and it's because I hadn't got that more nuanced interpretation of my chart. But things that are so important, especially like for projectors, like motivation and view, weaved in with the other things. And I think sometimes even you always point out how even within our definition we can be distorted, which we often don't look at, and we always go, oh, open center, but within our channels we can also not be correct, for lack of a better word. So that's also interesting to address. Yeah, there were definitely many things that really kind of just struck me, or that just they were kind of like repeating in my brain. Like, for example, what you had mentioned to me about the not having gate 32 and being a hoarder, or like not knowing what was worth holding on to. This was a big story because I kind of had always just gone through life. I have the 4130, I have a completely open G center, an open throat. So I'm really is it susceptible? Yeah, susceptible to want to jump into whatever I see the person next to me doing, and having this kind of blind drive for, yeah, we can push through my defined ego and my undefined sacral. It's like, yes, we, keep going, or just not really, yeah, just being grounded in a way that I'm doing the correct things. And it just felt like I was chasing a lot of different things and nothing was fulfilling, because I was seeking attention left and right, which was really hard to confront. Really had a lot of issues with oversharing, which we also touched on the reading we had with having gate 33 and an undefined throat. And anyone that hooks my throat still struggle to this day. I will overshare. I cannot help it. But I'm just kind of like, I'm more compassionate with myself now, but it is something that I struggle with, but it really allowed for me to get more grounded in something that because you also suggested starting to journal, and I've never been a journaler because I don't like writing in that sense because I have this like loud mind, so I often just prefer to either yeah, go on a walk and listen to some music and get some public aura in that sense. But it was the first time I started to retreat. I had never taken any time to reflect on things I had gone through, and that's such a big part of my design to take the time to reflect and to only go into a new experience once I've digested this current one, or at least taken time to be on my own and kind of just hear my own thoughts clearly, and which is also a huge part because I'm emotional. And I didn't know how to wait because I thought that waiting meant many different things I had got from Raw. Of like, I must wait, otherwise something bad's gonna happen. But it's like, that's not what waiting means. It's like being emotionally defined just means that you are comfortable in your body in a way that you don't freak out at the thought of like, that person might not wait for me. That was a big thread of like, oh, so I would just start waiting without any agenda. Whereas in the beginning, I was like, if I wait, something great's gonna happen. If I don't wait, just kind of like the distorted idea of waiting. Whereas now I'm just like, nothing and no one's that big of a deal, which is like an important thing that I need to remind myself for me to have this sense of urgency. And something that I've been speaking about with a lot of my close friends recently is just this idea that like urgency is a trauma response. And I think it's so valuable for everyone to hear that, but also to emotional people because we often have this just urgency just because we feel excited about something, or we feel like if I don't take this opportunity, like they're never going to come. But just kind of learning to live in a way that I'm not like playing hard to get because I think I need to play hard to get, because if I know in this moment I'm going to tell you at this moment, but not being afraid of taking things low. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your answer about that too.
I think a couple years or 3 years after I got the not self reading, I think 2 years after, I reconnected with some people, and it was after I had this kind of like isolation kind of season, and so many people were saying to me that you've changed, like you're different, like in a good way. You're very stable. Like people at work would say, "Oh, you're very stable." And I was like, "You didn't know how big of a wreck I was." And no one believes me because I'm more grounded now, but I've witnessed that change within myself where I couldn't go back to how like unhinged I was, for lack of a how like just I was chasing so many highs and lows, and something that design gave me was just this idea of like finding content in the mundane things. Whereas with my design, I can be super prone to chasing the highs and lows, and even in those moments of boredom, being like, oh, I'm just gonna do something excited just to feel something, something that then I'm going to just regret, feel bad about. So just finding, I guess, more joy in life being more stable was huge. Yeah.